Hello guys, how are we doing? Welcome to my next hardpoint hold guide, where today we're going to be covering Karachi hardpoint, obviously. I've done a couple of these already, so if you want to check out what ones I've done previously, feel free to check it out down in the playlist below. But it's basically a guide on how to best hold setups on certain hills, where to look, how to block, and how to, effectively get 60 seconds on hills with a full setup. Now, I'm going to touch on spawns very slightly in this because I feel like you need to know how to block spawns, and in these positions that I'm going to give you, I'm going to tell you what player's going to be blocking spawns and where the enemy will be spawning as a result of your positioning. It's not a full spawn guide if that's what you're after. I've got other videos on that. I've got updated with the new patch and all sorts, so feel free to check that out. Also on the channel, if you just scroll back a couple of weeks, you'll see them all there. So kicking off with P1 Karachi here. I'm going to say if you spawn this P3 side, this is the setup you should have. Spawns are very hard to flip on here. You either have to have someone from this blue team leak through, or have someone on the red team push all the way through towards this block spot, which is like generally anywhere past this line, really, where this number one is watching. As long as you keep this side of the map, you're just relatively fine. So number 4 at the top of the map here is an AR player, and he's playing in the top window of red, and he can see the yellow car rally, he can see the hop up over P2 jump up, and then from here you can get, he's washing these two lanes, so that's from spawn. If they run either of those two, he's got that cut off. You then have number 1 here, who's on a little bit of a weird spot. He's on a little bit of a jump spot, which is in the middle of the map. If you have not seen my Karachi jump spot guide, feel free to check that out as well. There's a jump spot you can have here, and from being on top of here, you can see all the way across to the bridge, and you can also help out this little vending or L cut here if needs be. So this is a nice hold for this guy based on what info they get. So naturally, the default position for number 1 is to be washing this way, helping number 3 out here. Now this guy can be using an AR. Realistically, people are going to be pushing from this direction, not looking up here, so you're going to have an advantage of surprise from this point. As long as number 3 stays down and doesn't chow from here, you're absolutely fine and you're chilling. Number 2 is on the scaffolding near the market, and from here he can see this whole left street. So if number 6 wants to push up, he can see that. If anyone tries to go top church, they can see that. And again, another AR player. This is a really nice line of sight for an AR player to sit. It's a disgusting heady to rip off. Now, if this guy gets the comms that someone's pushed low, I can't kill them whatsoever. This is when number 1 turns around and beams here. And then as soon as that happens, number 3 needs to know that he needs to stand up and peek. This is the only person who should have a submachine gun, because all of his engagements should take place within this square in the middle of the map. Once he has the information that number 1 is no longer watching the vending, number 3 can sit on a nice little heady this side of the map, and he can watch like top red. He can watch this vending point to see if anyone comes from this general vicinity. So that's generally where that guy should be watching. Now let's take it, so if you're on the other side of the map, so let's say you spawn on the left hand side here and you want to keep these spawns to the left and get the most amount of hill time as you can from this left hand side. So first of all, you have number 7 top AC with an AR. They're watching the cut through bottom red. If you lay down on this top AC, you can see if anyone runs through top red here. So they can see that they've got back cut as well, and they can get damage out, they can get shots out, and they can kill people from that POV. They can also see if anyone's trying to rotate to new as well. So this is a nice little spot. If number 4 decides to rotate at 50 seconds, which is probably unlikely but possible, this guy can see that person as well. So there is that coverage there. Then have number 6, who's in the little secret spot in the corner of the map here, in the corner of this building. And from here, their main objective is to watch the mid cut from their spawn, as well as the brick jump up here. They're the only 2 spots they are watching, so it should be easy. A couple of shoulders here and there, get the info, then reach out. You then have number 6, who's all the way over at the bridge, this bottom side of the map here. He's sat top bridge with an AR again, watching the jump up to top third, watching their exit through market, just to see if anyone's getting flanked. If number 2 decides to go top third, this guy's going to see him jump up. If they decide to go through market, this guy's going to cut them off before they even get close. So this is a really pivotal player to have decent control. Obviously, the only thing he can't watch is this brick. If they decide to run it broken and chow from brick, they're not going to see this, which is when number 6 is essential for there. Number 5, again, with a sub, stays down, only engages when they need support elsewhere. And when they do, he gets bullets out, lies back down, gets bullets out, lies back down. Moving on to P2, which is all the way over in this cafe. So we're blue team, that's what we are on this hill. And the first thing you're going to notice is number 7's quite pushed far up. So number 7 is top red, and they are basically on the balcony, making sure no one can come from this teal spawn, which is where the main spawn is for the red team, all the way through here because this guy's just got this whole POV. He's got this whole line of sight. They can't get to bottom or top red as long as number 7's here because this guy is the watcher, let's say. You then have number 6, number 8, apologies here, top AC, watching the mid-cut. So if anyone decides to run off spawn towards mid-cut, number 8's got them just like so. Number 8 is also the blocker. From here, from this position, he's blocking the spawn back here, enabling the spawn trap you've got here where red will always keep spawning out teal. If number 6 pushes a little bit far forward into red, that opens up the spawn back here, and it means that you're going to flip. So number 6 needs to either play this line or further back, which obviously you don't want to do. So this is a nice spot for I keep saying number 6, number 8 to sit. You then have number 5 who's pushed out to P5. There's multiple head glitches on here, and he's sat on one of them. And from this position, they're watching with an AR. But all these people I've mentioned so far have ARs because they're just so long line of sights. And then from this position, they can see top third, they can see street, they can see if anyone's trying to run into top church, and they've got this whole mid cut here. Now, from this position, you can sort of say every single person has got the lanes. It's basically a 3-lane map, and you've got number 7, number 8, and number 5 holding each lane. In this position, the red team are going to spawn in this teal area here, just outside of P3, and as I say, number 8 is blocking this back spawn here. So the only guy left to explain really is number 6, who's again gonna have an AR, and from here he can pretty much pick up anywhere that needs picking up. So for example, if number 8 says, okay, I can't hold mid anymore, I'm weak or whatever, if he's struggling, number 6 can defend that line of sight from the hill. Now, if number 7 falls, if they unfortunately lose a gunfight, number 6 can then pick that up, and then from hill, number 6 can then pick up this mid cut as well, so no one can get through here. So you've got to be fairly adaptable, but this is the main stronghold, I would say, until something happens. Number 7 also has the ability to, if needs be, if there's a lot of pressure towards this yellow car here, number 7 has the ability to run just to the top window here and see anyone, running from this close cut, and basically has the whole cut to the map. But obviously that will leave this push open, and chances are if they pull back too much, it opens up the spawn point just here. So moving into P3, so this time we're playing the red team. So that's it is switching. So bear with me. First of all, you've got 2 people scrapyard. Now, the reason you have 2 people scrapyard is because in this particular setup where these 4 players are located, the main spawn for the blue team to spawn is pretty much here. There's a little bit of a closer spawn here, but that can't happen if these 2 guys are pushed up. So in which case they spawn either like this yellow alley or just this general vicinity. So from here, the main places they're going to run are probably into red, maybe top red, bottom red, and as a result, I've got a heavy weight of players towards this top scrap side. So number 1's lying down, perhaps with a submachine gun because he's got a tighter angle to hold, and from here, he's basically just holding the whole cut so no one can get out. Then you have number 2, who is playing on this heady, on the car, got a trophy at their feet, using an AR. They can see top balcony, they can see if anyone decides to, pinch mid if number 4 doesn't quite do their job properly, but their main port of call is to watch anyone coming from bottom or top mid. They can lay down, trophy at their feet, and then anyone who thinks, oh, you know what, that's great, let me run at them, number 1's got the cut as a little bit of insurance here. So chances are, if the enemy team are spawning teal, they're just going to flood red, which is why I've got a lot of weight towards this upper side of the map. You then have down here a really pivotal player. Number 4 is actually holding some really important line of sights as well as blocking the spawn. So there isn't actually spawn back P3 here at all. The close spawn for P3 is here in the market, just like here. And number 4 is blocking that by being top third. But from also being top third, they're watching the mid cut and they're also watching the run up to street. Now this is important because if you're spawning teal, you might not want to flood red. You might decide you want to run down mid and get to this sort of position, in which case number 4 has that. You might get to top red from the stairs and decide, you know what, I'm going to chow through the mid. Number 4 has that as well. But in an unfortunate situation in which number 4 falls or they're too weak to chow, this guy needs to stay alive realistically. So if they're too weak to chow, number 3 can either chow from the hill, if for anyone pushing this mid cut, and number 2 can also, as they're an AR player, watch this long cut as well. But number 3 realistically shouldn't have to take a gunfight here. They can use an AR or a sub, whatever they prefer. But realistically, they should only be taken on gunfights as an absolute last resort. Now flipping over to the other the side of the map, where you have P4, which is just in this street here. Now, again, we're blue team. first of all, you have number 8 with an AR. You can actually get on top of this back barbed wire here, so that's the nice place I like to sit if I'm playing in this number 8 role. And from this position as an AR, you can see under the bridge, as well as you can see if anyone tops up to this top second story section here. And as a result, anyone who decides to run through bottom market gets picked off by them, or if anyone decides to go top third and tries to cross through the church like this way, number 8 also has that. Then have number 6, who sat bottom church, ideally with a sub, and they're going to and fro, helping assist in the front of time. But the main reason for being bottom church is to make sure these guys can't get flanked through bottom church or top church. So this guy, I've drawn an arrow here, but realistically he owns this bottom church. They can't let anyone get in here, so a sub's ideal because it's in the close quarters, and with people, the enemy team spawning teal, which is what will happen with this setup. You can get a lot of people decide to take a little bit of a route through, just like so. Now, if this is left open, if this door's left open, it's quite a nice opportunity to see if anyone decides to take an even longer route up the ladder and then flanking like so. So it is advisable to maybe leave that door open. Number 6 can then just play for info, play for peaks. But if the teammates require help on the hill, they have also got a sub, and they can run to the bottom shop here and decide to help from this close range angle. But realistically, number 6's main goal here is to ensure they can't get flanked through church or even jumped off this ladder. So if just number 1 decides to do that, number 6 has got you covered. Then you have number 7, who is a very much a beamer AR player in this role. Being where they are, there's a couple of boxes you can sit up upon. You can climb up on these boxes, and being in this area, you're blocking the back spawn here, so the enemies aren't going to flip and spawn behind you. So, and also from being here, you can see if anyone decides to jump up top third, you can beam them just across the map, and also you've got the whole lane. So if number 8 falls and they're spawning back in here, number 4 decides to run at the front. Number 7 watches that, and they've got that as well. So that's a nice little. A little bit more insurance from number 7 being there, as well as being able to pick off people from top third and blocking the spawns. Finally, you have number 5, who sat in the hill. Preferably would have an AR. I know you're probably wondering why that is the case, and that's because the only place that is being slightly missed from this whole sort of setup is if anyone decides to push through this mid cut. If number 2 decides to run all the way through and push through here, number 5 with an AR is going to be able to beam them simply as they run through there, and as a result, you've got every single thing covered. So yeah, that's a nice setup for P4. Moving then onwards and upwards towards P5, which is the other side of the map. So the spawns are a little bit bizarre here. There is a back spawn here, but you will only spawn back here based on squad spawns. So in order for blue team to spawn back here, one of them needs to get through in the first place, and then everyone starts spawning on them. But that is unlikely to be the case. So the setup we have here, let's have a look. Number 4 is top third, who's sort of acting as a blocker for the spawn, in that he's not letting anyone, because they've got absolutely accurate AR shots from top third. They can see if anyone pushes through the middle, if anyone pushes through the street. A very similar role we saw to what the person top third should have before. So you should really have someone dedicated to this. Play their strengths. If you've got someone who can really shoot their shots at long range, this is who you want top third here. So number 4 is that player, and they're basically making sure number 2 can't get flanked through mid or through market. That's their role. Now, in this position, the blue team, the opposition, are gonna spawn all the way out in this light blue circle just here. So what often happens, and the reason that is happening, by the way, is because number 3 and number 1 are pushed into this red area. As soon as you have teammates pushed into red, the enemy team gets spawned all the way out here. So number 3 and number 1 can sort of play wherever they want, because they're going to have people flooding from this spawn through the yellow alley, through the hop up towards P2, to top AC. But realistically, they don't need to worry about the middle. Number 4's got that. They just need to make sure they can't get into reds, which is why I've sort of got this cover here. So just as a couple of ideas where you could sit, number 1 could sit on the arches, and from there they can see if anyone crosses over towards P2. They can then see if anyone from P2 decides to run over here. They can beam them when they get behind the bus. And then number 3 here, it's at top or bottom window. From here they can see if anyone decides to, attack this elf. So decide if they push in. Number 3's got that before number 1 dies. If they decide to push the yellow card. Number 3's also got that, as does number 1. So realistically, these two people here can either be using a sub or an AR, but preferably an AR to make sure that you're guaranteeing gunfights and you're holding the longest line of sights. They're in control of making sure no one can get to red wherever they want to sit. It's important that they don't push up too far, however, because that might introduce a forced spawn of market back here, which obviously you don't want to do. But realistically, number 3, number 1, sit in red, sit around red, and make sure they can't get to it from this position. And then finally, you have a little player, number 2, who's hopefully not having to do much. Karachi is a very good map in that. But however, if you've got a really good hold, the person in the hill shouldn't have to do a lot of work. So number 2 here is literally for insurance. So say number 3 and number 1 in red, these guys pushed out to slay, accidentally let someone through, and you go, crap, I'm not watching bottom red for 3 seconds, give me a second. Number 2 can go, okay, I'm watching it myself from the hill, and then from there they can hopefully get a kill like so. But generally speaking, number 2 shouldn't have to take a gunfight. Similarly, if number 4 says, I'm really weak, I've accidentally let someone through middle, number 2 can just be very aware that they have to watch this flank as well. Now, if the blue team do end up getting through because someone's died or someone's not played their life, they will end up spawning here. So number 2 is obviously that guy to get the first info. If you notice someone's died and they've suddenly spawned back up and you're in a gunfight with them, you know the spawns are flipped and you know they're spawned there. So he's also that info player just to make sure the spawns haven't flipped. So that's Karachi Hardpoint. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope this has helped. If you have any further ideas, obviously this is the ideal world. Obviously that doesn't happen often. You have to rotate at 20 seconds to get full setups in this map. In this game, so if you're not doing that, obviously you're going to struggle doing this. And if you're solo queuing, you want to look to fill the gaps where your teammates aren't. If you feel like, for example, on this map, on this hill here, if you have a lot of teammates just sat waiting for the gunfights to come to them, you can be that player to be like, you know what, I'm going to push this spawn out, because realistically, if you're not pushed in red, the spawn happens to be pretty much just around here, or like, yeah, just this area here. So if you notice that, say you're number 3 and you're like, oh, right, I'm solo queuing, we're not pushed out far enough, I'm going to get myself into red and as a result spawn them out. You've got to be that player. You'll fill in the gaps if you're solo queuing. Obviously you're not going to have the perfect setups, but you can make sure that somewhere is covered, use your tuck map, and as a result you know what space you need to fill. So yeah, that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Ciao for now.